document object model, which is a very important and interesting topic in HTML. So what is document object model? Is like in our human society, maybe inside a family or outside a family, we have a system, a social system to recognize each other. For example, like this tree, the given tree, like grandparents, then parents, then they have childs and grandchilds and maybe cousins and so on and so on. So we have a social system to recognize each other. In the same way, there is for computer also must be a system to recognize the data. The system of a web page where each element is properly organized, recognized, and having a system to give name to each element, that system is called document object model. So the page in a web is called document, and every element inside the page is called object. So how the objects are linked, arranged inside the document, all these properties and this discussion, this knowledge, we will try to discuss today. Okay, so inside a page, for example, like the whole page is a document, and then there are elements, and note the point, the elements are objects. Everything in HTML page is an object, but we will use the word object and element. Okay, so you see the root element is HTML, and then the child element of that is head, and then child of head is title, and child of title is the text element, and after that the body element is the child of HTML. Okay, yeah. So in this way, you see there is a well organized tree, that anything that you just have a look, you can actually trace that this, let's suppose this object is a child of the A element. Okay, and it's a grandchild of body element. So in this way, actually we can access, we can we can access every element that we want. For example, if you want to access this element, so how to access? The way it will come like the document, and then the parent element, and then the child of this body, and this child element will have at least one name. It will have ID, or it may have class, or otherwise it will have a tag. So there are different ways that we can access, but the point is that using this document object model, we can access the elements of a page, we can modify the element of a page, and even we can add new elements to the page. So this is the discussion of today. Okay, so as we studied that everything on the page is an object. So the document is the main container, the main container, the page. Inside this page, everything is an object. So if you remember, object has property, object has methods, and object has events. So we will try to cover these three aspects of HTML objects today. So the properties are like, for example, ID, class name, or the style. So the ID are the CSS ID. If you remember anything in HTML, when we apply CSS, then it has some ID. Okay, or even you can give its own ID to be unique over the page. It may have a class name, okay, and that class name can be repeated, but ID cannot be repeated. Style, it has some properties like font style, font, background, and so on. So you see, all these are properties of some object. There are methods which is related to every object of HTML. These are the three main methods which are very common, like get element by ID. So if you know the ID of any element, then actually using this function you can access that object or that element, providing the ID as a argument here. Another uh, another function is get element by class. Another function is get element by query selector. These query selectors are the CSS selectors that we have applied different CSSs on it. Okay, we will go through it through in a detail by examples, don't worry. And the events are like on click, on mouse, on mouse over, key press, key down. So meaning to say there are properties, methods, and events related to each object in the page. So using these different aspects like properties, methods, and event, we can access the object, we can modify, update the objects, and we can even add new content to the page, and even we can delete contents inside the page using JavaScript. So the JavaScript object document object model is really very powerful and very interesting, and actually we can use it in many useful cases. Okay, now to let's go one by one to this. So first of all, how to access it? Okay, so to access these elements, we will use these functions, properties, and objects, as I already explained to you. And now okay, let's go to check or to apply these functions and properties and see through a real example that how it works. So I have already prepared the starter template for you, and I have already shared these templates using elip. If you go to elip, I have shared, you see here, uh, the source file. You can download from here if you want to follow along with me, or if you cannot follow, maybe I think I will also recommend that at this moment you just listen and try to understand, and later on the all the files I will share with you, the video will be there, then you can apply later. Okay, so this is a very simple page, so nothing there. You see just one div and its ID. So you see we need the ID to access this div element by this ID. So this is why I have given the ID. H1, H2 has also an ID, then another a div which has an ID set 1 and some children of that, and div set 2 and some content inside. Even the inside content also have classes like p para 1, para 2, and div set 3. Okay, so meaning to say just a simple elements there, and they have IDs, classes and properties. Okay, to this HTML page I have applied a simple CSS style, which is this one. Yeah, which is very just simple CSS. I have shared this one also with you, and I have linked one JavaScript to it, but this JavaScript at this moment is totally empty. We will apply all these now here. So let me open the page first in a live server. You see, this is the output of the page. So let's put side by side. Okay, and let me open the console also. Yeah, so the console is this. Okay, I hope is will be clear everything. Okay, so first of all, how to access the elements of this page. So the one very common method is get element by ID. So okay, so you see, we can display, like for example console. Okay, console.log what. Let's suppose the div which has the ID set1. Okay, so how we can access? Document dot get element by ID, and here we will pass the ID as as a parameter. So what's the ID? Any element that you want to access by ID, and if you know the ID, then you just pass here. For example, set1, we know that there is one div which has an ID set1, and if you see here, we got that one is what you see, that is a div which has an ID a set1. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let me quickly a bit recap that we can access elements of HTML by a method get element by ID, and this method get element by ID returns one unique HTML element. The element may be paragraph, maybe div, maybe body, maybe anything, but the get element by ID returns one individual HTML element. So then we can display easily to console, and we can apply any operation on it. So the same thing we can do by another method, which is called get element by class name. Okay, so class, as you know, that class can be repeated. Different HTML element may share or may have the same class name. Therefore, when we display this one get element by class name, we will not get an HTML element, but we will get HTML collection. And if you look at the brackets, so all the elements who has the class para1, we got that. Okay, and in the same way, we can store the reference of this element to a variable, and after that we can store we can display that variable to the console. So again we got that the same result, HTML collection. Okay, now if you another procedure or another method through which we can access elements of HTML page that are the HTML tags, that we refer to some tag by name. Okay, so we can do that one also. For example, if you see, if we let's suppose p equal to document that get element by no sorry document that get element by tag name. Okay, you know that all the HTML tags like p, div, body and so on, so we can actually provide a tag name. For example, if we want to access all the paragraphs in this web page, then we can provide the tag name in the brackets. So now we already have the reference of the all the paragraphs in this variable p, so we can display this one to the log. Can you see here console.log? You see we again got a HTML collection and we got a series. You see how many? 1 2 3 4 5 6 paragraph tags are there. So we got all the 6 paragraphs. So this is why it is HTML collection, and if you open it, you see all these are here. Another point, you see, if now whenever you get HTML collection, remember this, you see it has an indexing, meaning to say the HTML collection is not an individual element, so you cannot apply some operations on the whole variable, because this p is not a single entity, it's a collection. So the meaning to say the collection has sub items, and the sub items are arranged like array 0 index 1 2 3. So the indexing starts from 0, you can see here. So the first p and index 0, second p and index 1, and so on. So remember, all HTML collection are having indexes like this. Okay, so if you want to access nested element, you know that there are nested elements also in our HTML. Let me see any nested element. Yeah, you see, for example, this one, this div, all these are nested inside the div. Okay, so we can access like this also. So if you want to access nested element, we can actually go through first the parent and then to the child. So how? For example, if we want to access the paragraph inside the div which has an ID set 1, so how to access that one? So let's create a variable. Let's paragraph, or you can give any name that you want, and this one is like inside the set one, so I will give a variable like this. So document that get element by document that get element by ID. Okay, and the ID we will provide here, and ID, I want to access the set 1 ID of the div. And you see the div is the parent element. So if you want to go one level further to access the child element, then I will use another dot element. You see, dot, and then again is what I again want to access some tag which is a child of this this ID. So I can use the same thing, get element, document that get element. Oh, sorry. get, oh my gosh, get element, mm, not by, yeah, get element by tag name, yeah. After that, so you see first one id, and inside that id we want to access some element by tag name, so specific tag. For example, we want to access the paragraph which is a child of the div who has an id set 1, so we can access that one like this. So you see it is a nested, and the nested may be even to a children or even maybe to a grandchildren, you can actually access like this. The parent document that get element by id, that one then dot get element by tag name, and or if this one again have id, so you can give id and further you can go by tag name. So whatever information you have, maybe it's id, maybe it's class, or maybe it's a tag name, so you can access that one like this. Okay, and now you, if you want to see the output of this, then you can actually see the para set 1, okay, and semicolon. So if you see here, it's again an HTML collection, and we have two paragraph uh, which have this tag name p. Okay, uh, so now we discuss how to access elements of HTML page. The second point is that how to modify it. Okay, how to modify the elements of HTML page. So let's look at the HTML page here. If you see here, inside this div whose id is header, we have an h2 whose id is tag line. I want to access this h2 element, and then I want to modify this using HTML, using JavaScript. So how to do that? So you see, we can do that exactly like this, like last time we did that. Let's suppose console.log document.get element by id, and the id is what? Tag line. So we can get, you see, it is what? It is h2. Okay, so we can access like this. So actually we want to assign this to, yeah, to us, to we want to modify this element. So how to modify? We should assign this the reference of this to a variable. So let create a variable tagline. You can create, you can give any name that you want. So I will give a get document.get element by id, and its name is tag line. Let me comment the first one. Okay, so now we got the reference of this element. Okay, now we can actually apply whatever we want to apply on this. So to access HTML elements, now to modify the HTML elements, there are two methods which are used, are properties like text content. You see, any element you can directly access and modify text content using this property, and in the same way you can use inner text also. Both modify the text of any element, any HTML element. There is a little bit difference. I will show you that one here practically. Okay, now so to display, let's suppose to display the element, the text of this h1, we can do like this also. You see console.log, and here the tagline, okay, the tagline dot what, the tagline dot text content. So whatever is the text content of this tagline, we can actually display this. Let's see the output here. Can you see using JavaScript in HTML? And you see this is that one. So we can access, okay, we can access. In the same way, we can access like console.log and then tagline, and then inner inner HTML. We can see the same output, but here is a bit more. If you go to the web page, you see here in this h2, actually I put here, maybe I will uncomment now, uncomment a span element, but actually this span element, the display is none, meaning to say, you see this hidden text is not displayed actually here, even though it is part of this. So when we use the text content property, it only display the hidden text, but it only display the text property. But if you look at the inner HTML property, it not only display the text, but even you see the HTML, the children HTML, the HTML child is also like span is HTML tag basically, and it's child of that h2, so it displayed that one also, meaning to say the inner HTML display everything related to some tag or some object, but the text content only display the text or the human visible things. So in this regard, if you look at if you think the text content is a faster and optimized property, because it doesn't go in that much detail, it just display the text content only. But the inner HTML not only go to the text content, but it go farther and display the so much details, even the hidden stuff, the HTML the HTML tags also. So the best way that we should use text content. Okay, now if you want to change, the, yeah, let me comment this. If you want to change the text of this element, that we have a reference of that and we have stored the reference of that in that tagline, actually we can change its content. For example, if I write tagline, okay, tagline dot text content, so you see dot text content equal to, and you can give any text that you want. So new text is added, let's suppose, okay, so new text is added. So if you see the value of that h2 is changed, okay, the value is changed. Why? Because we can directly not only access, but modify also using the text content also. In the same way, you can actually use the inner HTML also, like tagline that inner HTML, and then you can add another added another text. Okay, so if you see, yeah, edit another text. If you want that not only that not replace, then you can use plus equal to. Okay, like you see, the previous text will be not replaced. If you use the plus equal to, or if you just use equal to, then it's basically a variable and it will replace the previous value. It's up to you. Okay, and it depends on the situation, what type of situation you are dealing with. So text content and inner HTML are the properties through which we can modify the content of HTML DOM. Any object we can modify it if we have access to that object, and we can get the access through the three methods that we discuss: get element by ID, get element by class, and get element by tag name. Okay, so once we get the access to that, and then we can, using these properties, we can modify. We have covered two aspects: one, how to access it; second, how to modify it using the text content and inner HTML. Okay, in the same way, we can actually apply CSS, meaning to say we can change its styling also if we want to change. Okay, so just one thing I want to show you, that whenever you want to change the style of HTML tag using JavaScript, they don't confuse between CSS style of writing and JavaScript style of writing. The syntax to use in JavaScript will be like this: that the element that you get, it may be the variable that you store the reference there, and it may be the document that get element by ID, that one, then dot. Okay, dot the style, it will change the style. So what style property you want to change? Style dot font size, style dot color, style dot background color, and so on and so on, and then equal to the value. You see, in JavaScript we are using camel case. The property name, the first word is small, the second word will start, the first character will be capital. For example, you see here, background is small lowercase, but the color, the C is uppercase, JavaScript style. In the same the same thing in CSS. When you are defining a CSS, then we are using a dash between them: background uh, dash color, text align. But JavaScript, text align. So you see, the in CSS is we are using dash among the property names, who are two words. Okay, one word is not a problem, two words. But in JavaScript we are using camel case. So if you know about this notation, then it will be quite clear and you will be not confused like this. So the same thing we can apply in the coding here. Let's check now. If I want to change the just a second. Okay, after modifying the text of any HTML object, we can apply different styling also. if we want to modify it. So how we can do that one using the style property of HTML objects. For example, we have the tagline already. Okay, this tagline is this h2 element. Okay, so tagline dot style, so we will change the style, then dot, then the JavaScript styling like background color. Thanks to VS Code is so clever, it gives nice options. Okay, then equal to, you can change whatever background color you want to give, like for example yellow. Okay, so if you see the background color change to yellow, it's too light green, it's not nice. Okay, somehow. Okay, so in this way you can change the CSS properties also, color, background color, okay, font size, anything that you want to change, you can actually change. Okay, now let's suppose if we want to, if there is such a thing, which is this h2 is unique. So if we want to get HTML collection, so how to deal with that while using while changing the properties of HTML collection. So let's suppose if we want to access such an element which are not only one, which are many. So how to do that? Let me access the h3 elements. So you can give any name to the variable, document.get element by I get, not create, get element by ID, and the no, not I, yeah, tag name, not ID. Tag name is easy, h3. Okay, so if I display this one, then I can see how many h3 I got. Okay, console.log. Okay, and this h3, so let's see. You see there are 3 h3. So now I cannot do like this. You see, if I do like this, h3 dot style dot background color equal to um, red, let's suppose. Okay, you see we got an error. Why? Because you see the h3 is HTML collection. It is not like the tagline previously a single element. So it's an HTML collection, and we cannot apply one styling property on the whole collection like this. Why? Because the HTML collection is basically indexed element. There are many elements which are arranged based on their indexing. So if you want to do this, then you need to access the elements through their index. So if I use indexing, okay, then will be like this, that h3 index 0. So whatever content is stored and index 0, that one style dot background color equal to let's suppose red is, you can see now I can change the first h3 element, h3 background color, the first one. There are 3, this one also, but I just changed the first one because it is at index 0. So if you want to access or modify all the HTML collection, then you need to use a loop, because sometimes we don't know how many elements are there. So the loop is the best way. So let's use a loop to modify the property of all the elements. So for let I equal 0, semicolon, I less than h3 dot length, okay, semicolon, and I plus plus, and inside this loop we can actually do like the same that we did here. H3 dot, here I will use I, h3 dot I dot style equal to red. So if now you see all h3 background color change. Okay, in this way also we got a collection of HTML collection, and once you have HTML collection, then you can modify its properties using indexing or using a loop. Okay, now if you go to your HTML page, we have many paragraph who has a class para1, 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 para1. So if I want to access this one, because I want to show you through by class also. So let para1 or para equal to document dot get element, document dot get element by class name, and the class name is para1. Okay, be careful with the spelling, para1. Okay, now if you again console.log para1, oh, this spelling is, I should write like this, pa, to be same, para1. Okay, again you see we got a collection, and there are two paragraph which has two p element which has a paragraph para1. Okay, now in the same, if I want to change its property, I cannot do like this, that para1 dot style dot anyone background color equal to a red. So I will get problem again. Why? Because para1 is not individual element, it's a HTML collection. So to do that, we again need indexing, and for indexing I think I should copy the for loop. Okay, so for I equal to 0, I less than para1 dot length I plus plus, and here para1 dot I and background color. You see the two paragraph who has a class name para1, their property has been changed. And you can, if it is, even if it is a single element, okay, let's do, yeah, even if you see, if by using the get element by class name, if you get a single object, meaning to say in the whole page there is only one object who is using a class para1, still you cannot apply like this, because the get element by class name is returning HTML collection. Even though if it is a single item, still it will be not as a one object like get element by ID, it will be a collection. So still you will have to use like that. For example, if we look at anyone para2, so we have para2 also, class anyone that we have class. Okay, no problem. If even if it is a single item also, you cannot use like like only directly apply, it you will get an error. You cannot apply like this because it is an HTML collection. Okay, now let's suppose you see if we want to access wait. Next one, if you want to access nested element like this, and if you want to modify nested element, then you can do the same thing that we did previously. Okay, for example, if I want to access an element whose ID is set to, but its class name and its child, it has a child and the child name has para2, so it will give only one. For example, let para2 document.get element by ID. I want to use ID, okay, and the ID is set to the div1, the div which has an ID set to, meaning to say second div. Inside the second div there is a paragraph whose class is para2. So dot get element by class name, okay, and the class name is para2. So this time we will get, it is actually one element, individual one element, but something is wrong. Para2 get element, oh, document dot get element by ID, yeah, is okay. There was one extra s. Okay, so now if I console this one, okay, console.log this para2, okay, you see it is only one paragraph who has this property, but it is again written as HTML collection. Because why? It has a class name. You see, get element by class name. So anything that you get by class name, it will be like this. So still you cannot do like this, like para2 dot style dot background color equal to red. You cannot do like this. You see again an error, even though it is a single element. Okay, so what you can do, you can use, it is single one, this is, therefore we can use indexing. Okay, so once you use indexing, you see that particular paragraph background color change. Okay, now there is another yeah, okay, if you want to change its content also, you can actually change, okay, using the text content and inner HTML properties. Okay, so that one you can easily change. For example, if I say here para2 index 0 dot text content equal to welcome to JavaScript. So I hope you can see, you see welcome to JavaScript, that one has been changed. So once you have the reference to any object, you can change it constant, you can change its styling. Okay, so we have studied three methods to access HTML elements. Number one, get element by ID. Number two, get element by class name. Number three, get element by tag name. There is another way also that we can access elements, and note the point, once you access any elements, then by any means, maybe by get by ID, by class, by tag name, or maybe the query selector that we will discuss now. So once you access it, after that you can apply you can change its content, you can apply the style. Okay, so that is common to everyone. The changing, the modification is common. Okay, now the next one, the next method that we want to access is, like for example, let again, like suppose tagline, because I want to access that one. Tagline is equal to document dot query selector. Okay, query selector. But note the point here, that here when we want to access using the query selector, the query selector method is using CSS style. So you will have to provide the for id the hash symbol, and for class the dot, because when we are defining id in CSS, then we are using hashtag, and when we are defining a class in CSS, then we are using dot. So it follows the CSS syntax, the query selector. So you see now, if I console this, console.log, the tagline, so you see here it is h2, exactly like previously we did. So we can access this one in the same way. uh, Another one we can access, like let's suppose h3 equal to document dot get element, document dot get no, sorry, document dot query selector. Okay, but there is another one, I will use query selector all, because the query selector is only accessing one element. Okay, so query selector all, what you want to access. Okay, actually you can access whatever you want. For example, the h1. Okay, so now here inside the query selector you can provide the CSS styling also, if you want to access through CSS, or CSS like ID or class, or if you want to use the query selector method, but you want to access through the tag name, then you just provide the tag name without using the hashtag, and without using the class name dot, the class yeah, name dot. Okay, so in this way we can access all the h3 elements in the document using query selector all. So if I console this one, okay, console.log h3, you see I got a node list. Note the point, previously we were getting HTML collection, but this time you see the query selector is returning a node list. Okay, a node list is like a tree structure. Okay, like a tree structure, and if you open this, you see it also has the same indexing style. So if you want to apply anything, like if you want to change the content, or if you want to apply the styling, then you will use the same style. For example, simply if I use h3 indexing 0 dot style. Okay, style background color, let's suppose a red. You see the first one, color change to red. So I can do in this way also. Okay, in the same way, let me just show you another example of class one, because class is using the dot notation. So let any para, let's suppose para equal to um, document uh, document document dot query selector. Okay, and here you can provide any class name. Okay, if you don't remember, you can check in your you see like this, let's suppose para 1. Okay, so sorry, para 1. Okay, so Note the point. Here the para1 that I am passing as an argument is a class name, and class will be distinguished by dot. So dot para1, okay, semicolon. So now if I console.1, if I display it to console.log the para, so you see we got this time the paragraph, that this paragraph has the class para1. Let's style that. Can I apply changes on this? You see all even the content is also there. Okay, so if I want to change para dot style, let's check directly first that can we. Yes, you see, so it means it returns an object. It's not returns a collection. Okay, a node. Okay, yeah, so query selector is returning one node, so we can apply directly. But if you use a query selector all, okay, then it will return a node list, not a single node. It will return a node list, and you know that node list has indexing, then you cannot use like this. So if there is a node list, then you will have to use the indexing style. Let's suppose like this. You see para1 0 index, then you can apply that one. So it is like the document that get element by class, but this the query selector and query selector all, they are using the CSS styling. So in this way you can access HTML elements, and you can modify its content, and you can modify its different styling. Okay, next concept in HTML is the navigation. Okay, navigation means that you know that in the HTML DOM, there is a root element, then parent element, then child, then subchilds. Okay, so how to navigate from one element to another to another to another, or how to access the element with reference from each other, or maybe you can say like this also, that how to find parent element of some element, how to find child element of some element, okay, or grandchild or sibling. So this is called navigation. So how to do that? For this purpose I want to use this simple HTML tag I have already created to save time. Okay, so if I see this one in HTML, so it is nothing. You see, it is so simple like this. Okay, so simple like this. And for this purpose we will use okay, now we are trying to access its different elements from navigation point of view. Okay, so from navigation point of view, first of all, if we want to access a parent node, so let me access the one paragraph like let para1 or anything, you can give any name. Okay, so document dot query selector. Okay, and you can let's suppose if I want to use the class name para1. Okay, so if you see here, you see this one para1, yeah, this has a para1, this has a para1, this has a para. So two paragraphs are there which have class para1. Okay, now if I want to display its parent, you see here, you see this is the P, its class is para1, so its parent should be what? Its parent should be the div. So how to access it? Let's display console.log. Oh, let me open the console also. Uh, yeah, here. So if I want console.log para dot parent node, parent node. Okay, so if I display like this, oh, problem, cannot read properties of null reading parent para1 dot parent node. No, should be okay. At line 2, cannot read property of null PAR. I think what's wrong? Para dot parent node. Where I am making mistake? Parent node. Is it okay? Let's just see what is this one. Oh, it's null. Why? Para is null. Document dot query selector. So there is no para1 is there. Wait. I have, yeah, the same script d.js, and here is a navigation. Here we have para1, class para1. Did I make any typing mistake? Oh, I think there was some typing mistake. Now is okay. So para1 dot parent node. Okay. Yeah, you see, there was some typing mistake. Sorry for that. Okay. So parent node property, you see, it give us that its parent node is the div and whose id is set1. Okay, so there is another one we can use, like para console.log para1 dot parent element. Okay, parent element. So parent node and parent element are almost same thing. You see the same output. Okay, now if you want to get the child, okay, child of this, so console.log para1 dot child node. Okay, so this time we got a node list. So you see why we got node list, meaning to say it has many children. So why? Because you see this one, actually there the text is considered as its child because it is inside it, and there are spaces and line breaks. So all these are considered like many things. You see text and oh, even its text is one child, but this one is returning. I think it has some the space is non-visible character, which is not shown here, and this is why it returns a node. Okay, node list. So there are many children. Okay, so if we want to display all of its children, not only child nodes, so console.log para dot children, okay, like all children, if we want to display, then we have a children property. You see, at this time we got HTML collection. You see the same thing, but this HTML collection is again the text, the line breaks and the spaces there is considered as a children. I just want to show you that these are the navigation methods that you can access parents, parent element, child one node or many child nodes. Okay, so in this way you can actually access. Okay, next one, yeah, there is another one. If you want to access like first child and next child or last child, like for example console.log para1 dot first child. Okay, so the first child is only text. Okay, it has only text, so we got first child. If you want to access its last child, console.1 last child, yeah, so the last child is also yeah, I think there is some spaces, so it's non-visible stuff, but in a last child it gives this thing, or maybe the first child and last child is the same thing because it has only one child, so the one is the first also and is the last also. If any object has many child, then it will be like that. So in this way you can access all its if you want to access its sibling. Okay, then there is a function para1 dot next sibling. Okay, so next sibling is what? Yeah, next sibling is, I think I should comment this, then we can will be clear the output. Yeah, so its next sibling is the text, and actually this text consider the line break. You see the line break between para 1 and para 2. If I remove the line break, yeah, you see, then the text gone and the next sibling become para 2, and if I press enter, you see it change to text because the line break is considered in HTML as a text node. Okay, so next sibling. Okay, and in this way you can access next element sibling or next sibling. Now using this concept, if you want to add okay, another concept, that if you want to add contents to HTML to the HTML document. Until now we were discussing how to access it, how to modify it, how to apply some properties like background color and so on. Now if you want to add new contents to the HTML, then how to do? So for example, let's create a new div. Okay, new, this is just variable, you can give any name. So document that create element, okay, and its ID is div. Okay, new div, and its ID is create element. What type of element you, sorry, it's not ID, what type of element you want to create? We want to create div element. Okay, so if you want to create paragraph, then you will type here P. Okay, if you want to create link, then you will create a. So all those the HTML tag you will have to specify here. Okay, now if you want to see what is it, you can check the new div. Okay, it will be a div element. Yes. Okay, now if you want to assign this maybe any ID or class or whatever HTML property you want to change it, you can change, like new div. Okay, new div dot class name. We can assign a class, any class that we want to assign. For example, the class name is new div. You can give any name again here. Okay, now if we want to add some element inside this div, let's suppose if we want to add a paragraph to this div, then let's create first another HTML tag. Let's suppose p. Okay, or new para, any you can give. I think we should not use the p, a little bit different. New para equal to create element by create element, and this time we want to create p, not div. Okay, so p. Okay, now you see, once we have the access, the reference of any element, HTML element, we can add text to it. So how to add text to this p paragraph? You know that we can use the text content. So new para dot text content equal to, and you can assign any text that you want. This text is added by JavaScript. Okay, let's suppose like this. Okay, now we create a div, we create a paragraph, we assign a text to paragraph. Okay, we can assign ID also if you want. A new para, new div, sorry, yeah, new div div dot ID equal to, you can assign any ID that you want. For example, anything, set 3. Okay, so we assign a class, we assign ID. Now if we want to add this paragraph to the ID, then how to add? New div dot append child is a function, append child, and the child is what child we want to add? We want to add the new para. Yes, it is okay, the new para. So this new para will be added to this child. Okay, but you see, this is the paragraph is added to the div, but the div is not on the page anymore, is not on the page yet. So how to add to the page? Then we need to access the body element, because it should be part of the body element. Okay, now to get to add to the body element, first we need a reference to the body element. So to create, we should access that one. Let body equal to document dot get element. You can access document dot query selector. You can actually access any way that you want. So the query selector we are accessing now by tag name. Okay, so we are just providing the body. Okay, because this is the tag name. document is not defined. Document. Oh, where is document? This one. Yeah, spelling was wrong. Okay. So now we have div, we have paragraph, we have a body. Now we will add this div to the body. Okay. So body dot append child. Body dot append child, and we will provide the new div that we created. Okay, so once we append this to a body, you see this text is added by JavaScript. Now the div is added to the page. So in this way we can access different elements, nodes of the DOM, and we can add new elements to the DOM. Yeah, if you want to apply some properties on this, you can actually apply. For example, new div dot style, okay, dot border. Let's suppose if we want to give a border, okay, equal to, we can give border, let's suppose like 2px and solid black. Yeah, black. If you see solid border is given. So once we have access to any element, we can apply any property that we want. Okay, now if you want to insert this text not at the end, if you want to add this one before or after some other element, then you can actually do like this also. So if you want to add this one before the para 2, which has, you see this one, if you want to add this one before this, then it has an id set 2 id, yeah, this one. If you want to insert before this, we can do like this also. So let's have access to set 2 first. Let set 2 equal to document dot query selector, or even document dot get element by id and we can give the id name is what? The id name is para 2. Okay, para 2. Okay, now we have access to this. Now we can actually add this one before this. So there is a function which is called insert before. So we have the body dot insert. So insert before, it takes two arguments. The first argument, what to insert, we want to insert the new div that we have created, insert this, but before what? Before the set 2. Okay, before the set 2. Now if you see here, this one, you see, added before the set 2. So this is another function that we can use before, and actually in this way you can add anything. For example, if you want to add further text to this, so you can use new div dot text content. Okay, you can add like this. So all the properties, the styles, you can apply anything that you want. Now finally, if you want to remove any object from the DOM, so it's very easy. Just use the reference that you have to any object. For example, the new div, okay, dot remove. Okay, just simply call this new div dot remove. If you see here, then the new div gone already. But note the point, this dot remove function only works on the latest browsers. The old browsers cannot support. So if you want to use the old browser function, so that one is like this. Like body, we have the body object and dot remove child. So that one is remove child. Okay, and here we will pass what to remove, the new div. Okay, so it will work like this. Again some problem, new div, remove child. What's the result? Remove child, fail to execute remove child. A node parameter is not of type of node. Oh, we have accessed the body by not query. No, we have access by query selector. Or maybe this is the old browser is, you see maybe it's not supporting, but you at least you know that there is a function remove child. That one is the older one. But if you see here, if I use this one, it works. The remove works here. Maybe this is deprecated. Okay, you can do like this also. There is another function that you can replace some child by another child. For example, if I say like this, body dot replace child, it also need to argument which one you want to replace by which one. Oh, the replace on. Why it's not working? The remove child, replace child. Let's see. New div, comma, para2 or not set2. Yeah, it works. Yeah, it works. So you see the set2 has gone and it is replaced by a new div. So you can replace, you can remove, you can add child, you can access child, siblings, grandchilds, grandparent, and so on. So this is another aspect how to navigate among the HTML nodes. Okay, the next thing, our next component is JavaScript events, and events are user actions. For example, click, double click, press, guard focus, last focus, pressing of any key, okay, or maybe bringing mouse over something. Okay, all these are called events. So how to access the JavaScript events, and how to understand all this event system. So this is a simple HTML document that I have created. You see, very simple one, just one div having ID a container, another div box, okay, and another div I give the ID as a button, okay. So then paragraph and another. So very simple, the output is here. So I just want to apply some of the events here. I have linked this JavaScript events.js, but this JavaScript events.js at this moment is totally empty. So let's define. I have applied a small CSS also, okay, this one, just to give the borders and the background colors and the font. Very simple one, not so complicated. Okay, now to access this, the first box first, to get the reference of this, so let box equal to document dot query selector, okay, and its ID is box. So we got the reference of this. Now we want to get the reference of the button also in the same way. Let btn equal to document query selector btn. Okay, now there are two ways to apply events in HTML. There was one old way or old school of thought that maybe you can find in previous old source code. It was like this, that you can actually define here, define in the any element that you want. For example, here the div btn button, that this div, the blue div which have the ID button, here you can define some event. For example, if you just type on click, okay, sorry, on click, okay, on click, and here you can type any JavaScript code like alert, okay, and inside this here you can type let's suppose hello, okay, alert, okay. Now if I click, you see, if I click inside this one, you see the hello event displays here, you see, hello. So one way is this, but this is old way of providing events in HTML. Why? Because we don't want, actually the best way is to don't mix HTML code and JavaScript code. Otherwise, you see, in this way it is mixing here. So we want that all the HTML code is in a separate file, and the JavaScript files are in a separate file. Okay, one way is like this also, that you see on click, and here you give the name of a function that you have defined in a JavaScript. For example, if I give any function name like my function, okay, so I will give the name of this function here. Okay, now if I define this function here like function, my function, okay, and inside the body of this I defined alert, okay, and maybe here hello. So it will also work in the same way. So if I click here, you see it also work in the same way. So this is another way to provide events, to the HTML document. So you see, but this one again is not a good way, because actually in this way also like mixing of the code. Okay, so now I can do like this to remove from here. Yeah, remove from here, come to JavaScript, and actually I can do like this, that if I because I have the reference of the box dot add event listener. So okay, you see, in this way I can add any event listener to this. So what type of listener you want to add? Click. And when this click is there is a click, what function should be called? So here you see the my function. So in this way also, you see, in the HTML there is no event anymore, but here using the JavaScript we added. So if I click now, should work. Bugs add list. Oh, this one is the btn, not the bugs. btn. Okay, so if I click this one, you see, because I want to add the event to the button, not to the box. Previously I added here, so if I add here as a box, then when I click here, then will come out. So it's up to you to which element you want to add the event. Okay, there is one other extra information. For example, this function may have argument, for example, like e, and actually this e has a lot of information. Okay, for example, if I define if I display this to the console.log and the e, then it can tell us all the information what is going on. So when I click this one, you see hello, and if I open my console, yeah, so you see the point, you see all the informations. This e, the parameter, the argument, you see a lot of information, the current place, the height, the offset. Okay, we will cover some of this, but you see a lot of information we can access through a user click. Okay, so using this function and using the details of this argument, actually this argument, meaning to say the JavaScript collect a lot of information about the user, and we can access all these if we want to. Okay, so if we want to see all these all these details here, then let me comment this and I will add some text to this. For example, like box dot inner html. Okay, inner html and plus equal to, I will do like this, that it should not replace, and some text, like for example element type and type. Okay, element type, and then plus the e dot type. What is it? Okay, e dot type, and then maybe we can add some new line. You see, we can use actually yeah, type this one, we can add as many things that we want. So oh, it should be a bit down that we can see. You see, when I click, if I refresh, no click, nothing is in the box. If I click here, you see element type is what? Is click. Click has been done. Okay, next one, if I want to see the ID of this, then I can do this one also. I will just copy this to quickly element ID, not type. Okay, and here ID, and new. Now if I click, you see, so ID is not defined for this. Oh, maybe I have not defined ID for this. Yeah, okay. So no problem. Next one, I can access and I can find out any keyboard button which has been pressed. I can access that one also. So if let's suppose I want to see to access the Alt button, then I can do like this, that Alt key pressed, this will be the text, and then this one e dot target, e dot, oh, this one actually I should change to e dot target. Okay, e dot alt key, oh my gosh, sorry. Okay, and here I will just add a break and semi. So alt key pressed. So if I am clicking here and I have pressed my alt key, then it will show, you see, key press, alt key press, this is false because when I was clicking I didn't press it. Let me give here a bit space. So refresh. So if I click without pressing alt key, it will show it is false, meaning to say the alt key has not been pressed. Okay, but if I press alt key and then click, you see the it is true. So it we can actually get this level of information also, that the user is pressing alt key or not. The same goes for shift key, the same goes for control. So you will just change here the alt, control and shift, and so on. Okay, you can so from here you just think that using JavaScript how much details we can actually get. So this is one of the alarming point also, that actually when we are using internet, you see someone can collect all this information about us. Okay, so let's suppose like this, that bugs that we if I want to get the xy coordinate, then I can access that one also. Okay, so for that purpose I can access like, I think yeah, simply like this, and here e dot sorry, not alt key, e dot client, e dot to access the xy coordinate. So e dot client client x, it will give x coordinate, and here I should provide a space or colon between these two, and then again plus, sorry, plus, and then e dot client capital Y, it will give us the y coordinate, and then line break. So if I click, it will tell us that at what place, what was the xy coordinate of that point when I was clicking. You see, even it tells us the xy coordinate. How much detail is it? this xy coordinate is from the screen point of view. If you want to go to the local context, that within this box was the x coordinate and y coordinate, so that one we can access by offset, not by client. So that will be the local context, offset x and offset y, offset y. So you see, this time when I click, the first one is from the global context, from the whole page point of view, the xy coordinate. This one is from this box point of where I clicked. You see, if I click the very top corner, it should be 0 0. Oh yeah, you see, let me click here. Oh, almost like this. So you see, you can access this much detail. Another information we can you see, so all these were what, these were about the click function. We can actually add more events also. So we here we just add a click event. We can add more events. Let me copy this to be a bit faster. So add listener, what I can add, double click also. Double click, dbl click. So this time if I double click, you see, it will happen. Double click, it will happen. Now if I want mouse over, then add listener, what, mouse down, mouse down. Okay, so if, and here actually I can yeah, I can e dot you see, yeah, the event type, you see, mouse down, event type is mouse down. Okay, so mouse down, mouse pressed, mouse up, all these, mouse up, all these you can use. So once one will be down, one will be up. You see, first when we press the button is down, one when we leave, I will leave the left mouse button, then is up. So all these information we can do it. So in the same way, mouse over, mouse yeah, let me just show you one few more, like mouse over will be in such a case that if I just bring the mouse, you see, it is outside. If I just bring over, you see, it happened. So where I happened, all this information is there. So in this way, you see, all these functions you can actually cover: mouse leave, mouse over, mouse out, okay, and key press, and the location. So this is another way that we can add interactivity to a web document.